at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Yeah, welcome everybody. I guess I'm going to call this an AK-47 Guru podcast. I haven't done one of those in a while, but this is sort of an interview. We're chatting about a shooting event that's happening in Texas coming up in April. And we've got Clayco47 with us from YouTube and Instagram. And he's participating in the Kalash Bash Texas. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So without any further ado, thanks for joining us from Texas.
Happy to be here.
So Clayco, is that from the importer?
It's yeah, that's exactly right.
Right on.
So my first name's Clay, and someone sent me a message one day, and he was like, "Hey, you should call yourself Clayco, like the early Chinese imports." I'm like, it's a brilliant idea. So I just changed the C to a K and ran with it.
Right on. Yeah, that's a good one. So I just dropped a link to your YouTube channel. Now we're talking about Kalash Bash, which is a shooting event happening in Texas. I guess this isn't your first event, but this is the first time it's happening with the Kalash Bash moniker. So
yes,
tell us about it.
So inaugural event. We got the idea from a couple other things happening around the country. We were talking offline a little bit. I've been to Red October every year, and I've always told myself that is honestly the most fun you can have if you're an AK guy. That's the most fun you can have with your pants on. Nothing like that really happens anywhere else in the country that I know of, specifically for the AK community. Events and NRA shows and trade shows and Knob Creeks and that kind of stuff's everywhere, but AK guys are kind of their own breed, and we don't really have our own thing, not that much anyway. So we started competitive shooting for a long time. We picked up a lot of sponsors that sponsored us to shoot AKs primarily in competitions. So I think between me and my buddy Chris, we've probably got 50 to 100 competitions under our belt. So we know what it takes to have a fun one, and we know bad ones. And something that we thought would be really special would not only to have a competition, but just a celebration of the AK, which is really what Red October is. So Red October is just a big match. It's like 8 to 9 stages, but all the while you have all of these sponsors that are set up on hot firing bays. So you have guys like M13 Industries and Rifle Dynamics and Jim Fuller, Dead Air. So Mike Pappas is walking around, and guys that make like the KOP, Saberworks, and the JMAC Customs crew. All these people that you hear about and these products that you see on guns that you buy all the time, they're all there at one place. And you can meet them, you can hang out with them. We
should take a second and talk about that. So we're talking about Kalash Bash, which is happening in Texas coming up here in a month. But
right.
Its roots come from this Red October, which is what, in its third year?
Yes, so 2018 was the third year for Red October, and that's all the way in southern Utah, a little town called St. George near Las Vegas.
Right, so if you look at Utah and the southern western edge where it is closest to Vegas, there's a town called St. George, and they have it's a shooting event, so it's a competition, but it's once a year as opposed to more often than that. And then there's vendors there, so vendor tents like you're saying, but at live bays, so very much like Media Day at the range or one of the media events where manufacturers will show up and have the media there exclusively to shoot and pull triggers and ask questions and take pictures, except it's open to whoever wants to participate in the shooting event. And that particular one is put on by Fuller and the range there in Utah. And like
that's exactly
everybody
right.
participates, but instead of being like Media Day at the range where it's just anybody who has enough dollars to pay in to show up, this is all themed on the Kalashnikov and accessories and people that are shooting 7.62 by 39 and 5.45.
Exactly. So you won't see a single AR-15 on the property. And like I said, it is exactly like a press day where the vendors come out. They want you to see their latest and greatest stuff. They want you to see the products that they're selling, unveiling some things. But all the while, this is going over a 2-day period. All the while, there's a match going on in the background.
In a
So at
decent,
the same time,
there's some real
yeah, a
competitive.
really good match.
Decent match.
Yes, definitely. So you have guys that show up that are basically dudes with Wasser 10s sticking their mags in their pockets, all the way up to professional 3-gunners that decided to pick up an AK for a weekend.
And some
And
of those
everything
guys
in between.
are really playing around, and some of those guys, like the guys out of Phoenix, are hardcore. They train for that stuff constantly, and this gets them a chance to actually bring out their Kalashnikov teeth and put real effort using 7.62 and 5.45 instead of the stuff that maybe works better for games or whatever, right?
Definitely. For instance, Dissident Arms, if you're familiar with them, they are one of the new kids on the block. They are tuning the Vepr 12s to be, the baddest 3-gun shotgun on the face of the planet. And right now it is. They're the current world open champions in France with their shotgun. Their sponsored shooter came out, and they built him a 5.56 calibered, basically an SLR 106 on steroids. And he came out and cleaned house with it. He shoots for JP and Vortex and a couple other companies. And it was really cool. That's just something you don't see. You don't see guys of that caliber running AKs. And Red October got their attention. So, I'm seeing this over 3 years, and I'm seeing it triple in size almost every year. So I come back home, and I'm always asking myself, why can't we do something like that here in Texas? Texas is huge. There's a huge AK following. I shoot 2 or 3 matches a month here in Texas. I know there's a big competitive scene. So we decided maybe let's try something small. So we had something called Kalash Bash last December. It was a Christmas themed gathering of the AK. We only sold like 75 tickets, and that's all we wanted to sell. We sold them out in a day, which kind of blew our minds. We did minimal promotion. Basically, we said, this is today. It's $30 a ticket. Bring your AKs. We're going to have a handful of sponsors that are AK centric, and some games and full autos and all kinds of cool stuff going on. And we sold out in a day, and the event went over great. I mean, the sponsors were happy. The guys that came out were happy. So we thought, man,
now let me ask
if we could do the, go ahead.
Interrupt you. With the 75 people that showed up, was that 75 people that would show up at Red October that were hardcore Kalashnikov people looking for a place to do their thing? Or was it?
No, we got a bunch of lurkers, like the guys from AK Files that don't come out much.
Okay,
so,
good. It was a bit of an outreach, so they had a chance.
Definitely. Definitely. We had a bunch of guys that had came out. I see these guys on the files. I see them on Facebooks. They don't show their picture on Facebooks. And all these guys are coming up to me going, hey, I'm so-and-so from Facebook. Or, hey, I'm that guy from the files. And I'm like, dang, all these guys are like lurkers that I've talked to for a long time. And they all just sort of came out of the woodwork. Because that particular event, there was no competition. Because we've come to find out competition kind of turns a lot of AK guys off. They're not really into it. So when we told them this is no pressure, this is just come out, bring your gun. You're allowed to walk around with your gun with chamber flags, and a bunch of comm block goodness. Just come out. And man, it was like a bazaar of commie guns. You had 75 like-minded people that all know each other, whether they know it or not. They're all realizing like, oh, you're that guy from the files. Oh, you're that guy from that Facebook group. And it was so magical seeing that happen. All these guys together in one place at one time. A lot of them traveled, a good ways to get there. And unanimously, everyone said, hey, if you guys ever want to do anything like this again, we are down. So we thought about it for a month, and we had quite a few sponsors reach out after that small event. We had a write-up in Recoil magazine over it. We're like, man, we need to do it big next time. So we picked April, and that's what really set the wheels in motion for Kalash Bash. That was the final piece of the puzzle. After 3 years of a build-up, really, with Red October, our small event, that's what lit the fire under us.
Right on. Well, I'm glad you did it in April. It's always a good month to do a Kalashnikov.
Yeah.
Right on. So
we tried to pick a month where there wasn't much else going on. There's Knob Creek that weekend, but we had to make some sacrifices, and that puts us almost 6 months, a solid 6 months away from Red October. We don't want to take anything away from Red October, and we don't want to exhaust the guys that want to go to both or the sponsors that want to support both. So we figured that would be easier on everyone's pocketbooks.
I love it. And it's, like you say, it's 6 months out, so it gives people another opportunity to do something. And it's in a different location, so it's literally thousands of miles away, right? At least hundreds of miles away.
Definitely. And even where the event's going to be located in Texas, we're central to Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. It's right in the middle of all the major cities.
Okay, so that was one of the questions.
It's a good funnel point.
So how do you say that? The name of the range or the town?
Navasota is the name of the town, Navasota, Texas. The name of the range is the CCC Shooting Complex, so 3 Cs.
Right on. So I'm guessing that's the place you had the Christmas one?
Actually, no. We have a small private range here called the Renaissance Shooting Club. Texas actually has the largest Renaissance fair in the country, and this range is literally right across the street. In fact, the range is right next to the King's house that owns the Renaissance fair. And there's a gun range right next door. It's private. That's where we film a lot of our promo materials, YouTube videos, and Instagram shenanigans. That's for smaller events. So we want to keep the smaller events there because the range owner's been really good to us, and he's really easy to work with.
It doesn't sound like it's large enough then for the size scale of this one anyway.
Definitely not. 75 people was a lot. This year we're going to sell 120 tickets and cap it. That's really, we're maxed out at parking. So the CCC Shooting Complex, they have a lot of PRS matches. So they have a range that goes out past 1,000 yards. They have bays everywhere. They have a small tack bay with about 10 pistol bays, which that's where we're going to set up a lot of the competition stages. And there's a hill that overlooks the 1,000-yard range. That's where all the festivities are going to go down. A 300-foot long hot firing line full of our vendors, starting from title sponsor, gold sponsor, silver, and bronze will just be plucked in wherever we can fit them. And there will be camping. This range is really perfect for an event of this size.
That's very cool. And I like it when events like this can contribute to a range like this, because obviously they're giving you a weekend, but you're going to be able to pay for the weekend. And the people that run that range, I don't know how many people look at it from this angle, but the people that run that range, when they see that the Kalashnikovs can bring in this kind of support, they talk to each other. They're aware of what they're doing. So hopefully others will take some inspiration from this, and you can have just a match focused on the Kalashnikov, once a year or something, and this is the kind of stuff that can encourage that.
Definitely. We hope they see the value. You can imagine a couple of guys walking up, they had no clue who we were, and we said, hey, we want to rent your range out for a weekend, and we're expecting this many people, and oh yeah, it's just going to be a bunch of AKs. They weren't too enthusiastic about it at first, but once we agreed to terms and agreed to their price, and we did this after we already had big commitments from our title sponsor and a few of our gold sponsors. We knew we had that backing, so he hit us with a price and we accepted. So like you're saying, I hope he sees the event for what it is and sees, wow, I guess a lot of people just don't see the renaissance happening right now in the AK community, and events like this, I think, are going to open a lot of people's eyes.
So let's talk about some of the people that are participating and making it happen. You got quite a few. It's not just shooters; it's industry that's involved, right?
Definitely. So the 4 primary guys that we all came together basically over a fire and some beers at our local FFL and decided to do this thing. It's myself, Tony of Kyber Customs. You know him from the cheese graters. He's the cheese grater guy. Mike and Lan of Dissident Arms. They're the guys that make the 3-gun KL-12s. It's just a juiced up Vepr 12, and they're starting to get into the 5.56 AK game, also for 3-gun. The partnership was these guys have hosted matches every single month, so we're letting them build the stages, build the match, run the practice score, sign up shooters. We're handling sponsoring or courting the sponsors, handling the party, handling prize giveaways, and ticket sales. So those are the 4 guys putting this on. Some of the sponsors that I'm super excited about. Our title sponsor is going to be Sentry Arms. They are giving away $8,000 worth of Romanian imports, a PSL, a AES-10 RPK, some monster 9mm NAC 9s, I think that's what they're called, and a ton of Red Army standard ammo. Some of our gold sponsors, we have Dead Air giving away a ton of Wolverine suppressors, K&S Precision giving away tons and tons of their adjustable gas pistons, and they're going to be unveiling some things I can't even talk about for the AK right now. And those guys, if you haven't been following K&S, they're local to Texas. They are doing phenomenal things with Galils and AKs and barrel lightning, and it's pretty phenomenal stuff. They're going to be the 9x19 guys. They've already got a few builds. They've made some direct gas impingement 9x19 AKs that are going to be out there running Wolf suppressors. Super excited about that. Who else do we have? Gold sponsors. We have K-Bar, Arsenal, Fime, all three of them coming out and giving away Vepers and Arsenals and Sam 7s. Some of the Rex pistols that they're importing.
And there's 125 tickets sold, right?
Yes, right around there. More competition tickets than general admission have sold, so we're really excited to see it. It wasn't that way, you know. At first, the general admin, if you looked at on chart, was just way overtaking, and then in the last couple of weeks, the competition side has greatly surpassed. So, you know, that's human nature. Everyone's going to wait. You know, we are a month out. We sold more tickets this month than the past 2 months.
I guess I'm just looking at it
yeah,
from
so,
as you're describing the amount of prizes, the whatever the chances there seem like pretty decent odds. But I think I interrupted you after Vepper or after K-Bar Arsenal.
Right. We have like I said, K-Bar, Fime, Arsenal. You know, they're all MSR. They're all kind of under the same umbrella. So if one comes, they all come, and they're throwing. They are our gold sponsors are required to throw down. It's a $5,000 commitment. 80% of which has to be in product. So they're only paying 20% in cash. So if you think about it, every gold and silver sponsor, 80% of their buy-in we want on the prize table. So it goes to show you we're not collecting much money from any of the sponsors. We just want the prize table to be huge. Almost everyone that comes out will win something. There's that much on the prize table, as much as, you know, as high-end as M13 $2,000 AK builds down to KCI drum mags and everything in between. There's dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of prizes. And, you know, that's a good one to talk about. M13, that's actually who, I guess a video of his or a post of his actually led you to us. He's building 2 of his OSC 13 AKs. The value is near $2,000. He's building 2 of them and build to fulfill his gold sponsorship. They're going to be Cerakoted. Who else do we have? Looking at the safe to try to remember here. Rifle Dynamics, that was a huge one for us. They were late to the game. We haven't quite worked out what they're going to give away, but it's going to be really nice. And Jim Fuller himself at the last minute decided, hey, I'm going to drive out to the event. I support what you guys do. This kind of thing needs to happen more and more. So that was huge for us. And Saberworks 13 is going to be contributing. It's honestly too much to remember, but the way we figure it, $30,000 worth of prizes on the table as of right now, most of which are going to be firearms.
Awesome. And you're bringing the community together, and you're giving people a chance to get together for 2 days and shoot the shit. And very cool. So,
man, that's the best part.
You've got
the match is one thing, but seeing these guys mingle and camp out and hang out around the campfires and trade guns and sell Bakelite mags out of their trunk while they're there. I mean, that's what I love to see. It's kind of a magical thing. You don't see that at any other event. It's just AK guys. They're just their own breed, and they breed a special event when they all show up.
So let's talk about the match side. We've talked about some of the general stuff that everybody can participate in. You can attend as general admission, which I guess we've been talking about, or as attendee as a match participant. What kind of matches?
So this will be 8 stages, 4 divisions. And what I mean by divisions is based on the gun you choose to run and how you configure it, that will enter you in a certain division. Because we have 4 divisions, we will have prizes for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of each division, as well as trophies. So you'll be able to take something home, and you'll get some of the best prizes on the table. The 8 stages aspect, all the guys that are buying these tickets, they're picking squads. So in a typical match, you buy your ticket, you squad, so you'll have, let's say, 5 squads of 12. All get on the squad of buddies that they want to shoot with, and we'll split all the squads in half. We'll have AM to noon and noon to PM shooting. So Saturday you'll come out. You'll just check your roster. If you're an AM shooter, then you'll shoot your first 4 stages on Saturday. Starting in the morning, you'll be done by noon. At noon, you can go back and hang out with the party. We'll have food on site, go back, hang out with vendors, and then the PM shooters will then go shoot their first 4 stages. And Sunday, it'll flip-flop. The guys that shot AM on Saturday will then shoot the afternoon stage, their final 4, and vice versa. So both days, half the day, that's all you have to dedicate to the match. The other half of the day is up on the hill, hanging out with your buddies, hanging out with general population and the vendors. And we did that to relieve some strain on all of the guys scoring the match. And we want the vendors there to have half of the population with them at all times. And it seems to be a formula that works. Now the stage, let's talk about the divisions. This seems to be confusing a lot of guys. We have 4 divisions. AK light, meaning set 545 or 223 AKs with iron sights and standard capacity mags. So these are bone stock AKs with the lighter calibers. That's one division. We have heavy iron.
Plain old
7.62.
There was a plain old AK-74.
Plain old AK-74, or if you're into 5.56 AKs like me, if you're into the blasphemous stuff, your 106s or your Polish Beryls, if you're so inclined. The heavy iron, your 7.62 bone stock with standard cat mags on iron sights, or even 308 AKs. You know, that's totally allowed. Don't really know what a standard capacity 308 AK is, but as long as you're on iron sights, you'll be fine. We have the open division. Open division meaning, you know, pimp it out as much as you want. Run optics, run RPK mags, run drums, get as much ammo capacity as you can. That's the open division. That's for the guys that have all the doodads on their gun. The 4th division is probably my favorite. It's a catch-all. We're just calling it the comm block division. So you guys that have your VZ58s, your SKSs, your RPKs, your semi-auto RPDs, your insert commie gun here. Oh, the PCCs. Any PCC, AK, or PPSH 41, 43, anything like that, that's all going to get lumped into comm block. So that's going to be the most eclectic division. And those guys can go full bore, whatever they want to do with their guns. More power to you. That's going to be a really fun division. So that's it. You have 8 stages. Pick your division, configure your gun the way you want it, and you're off to the races. And if you take 1st through 3rd on your division, you're going to get one of the big boy prizes and a trophy to take home.
Very cool. So we've got a couple of questions that are pertinent to what we're talking about now. Is there an age limit to get in on the competition side? That's from David on the gun channel side.
Not at all. Not at all. Keep in mind, there are firearms to be won. We have absolutely no age limit to the competition. No competition that I know of has an age limit. But if you do win a gun, I assume your parent is going to be there and they'll accept the gun for you and they'll do the background, the next check. That would be the only thing. If you win, your parent, your legal guardian, has to take the gun under their name. They have to pass the background check, and then whatever they want to do with it at that point, if they want to give it to you, that's up to them. But by all means, all ages are welcome to general admin or the competition.
Right on. And old people, I guess, can show up too.
Yes, definitely.
So then same David is asking from the gun channel side, is there any restriction on the ammo you can use as far as reloads or anything like that?
That's a good question. We have a couple of stages that will be slightly out to distance at steel, and it's all in the description. If you actually go look at tickets and you weigh out your options, it'll tell you. I would bring about 100 to 150 rounds of something that's non-steel core, because there will be a couple stages where you're going to be ringing steel quite a bit, and this will just be a little bit safer, and we won't damage the steel. But other than that, no ammo restrictions. Just make sure you have 100 to 150 non-steel cored ammo. That's the only restriction at all that I know of.
Now, question came in about vendors, but since we've already kind of talked about some of the people that'll be showing up, some of the sponsors, what about the food? Do you know anything about, is that like food trucks, or I know that you're going to have food available on site? There
will be plenty. We'll have some food trucks out there. We haven't discussed giving food out, but there will definitely be some food trucks out there. Anytime you get hungry, you're more than welcome to go. There will be food available for purchase on site. Most definitely both days, Saturday and Sunday, there will be a food truck available.
And then you said it's camping, so people that show up from out of town or whatever that are camping there, I'm sure there'll be some sort of stuff going on, like any campground.
Definitely. So to 50 RVs. As far as now, I think we have maybe 5 RVs that are coming that I know of. So plenty of space if you have, RVs or camper trailers. There's plenty of room for that. And camping in general, well-contained fires are totally allowed. So you can have a fire overnight. You can cook. Drinking is allowed once the range has gone cold and all guns are stowed and made to be safe. So you can have a few beers and grill around your fire at night and save the hotel bill. No need to get a hotel.
And like you say, it's bringing everybody together. So I can't imagine that's going to be one of the funnest times of the year to just hang out and be able to talk Kalashnikov stories. People come to Kalashnikov from all over the place. And that's one of the questions that came in. If I can figure out where it was now. I'm kind of not going to be able to attribute it, but someone asked, what got you into AKs?
Oh, man. My dad bought my first AK. It was a Wasser 10 he bought for like $200 at a pawn shop. This is right after the ban, right after 04. So I must have been a freshman in high school in 04, and he just shows up at the house with it. I'd never seen an AK in person. I was 14. He always had FALs and ARs, and something about that Wasser 10, no matter what war movie came on, we would watch Red Dawn or Band of Brothers. We've all done it. The Wasser 10 was on my lap, and I would be there, cycling it, taking the handguards off, putting them back on, just 14-year-old kid, as happy as I could be with my Wasser 10. And I was always the coolest guy at the range when I would go hang out with my friends. They would always have ARs or whatever, and I was the one with the AK. So that I was just, hey, that Clay's the dude that has the AK. And bought a bayonet for it, bought some Bakelights for it, bought a muzzle brake for it, stained the wood on it. And then I started to get into all the different variants and all the history and just the different nuances. And, that whole rabbit hole, I fell right into it. And ever since then, I can't seem to put them down. I've completely lost interest in ARs, almost completely, all because of this platform. I just absolutely love it.
Well, it's interesting, and they're compatible enough that there's a lot of playing around to do, but then they're also distinct enough that there's some collecting to do, and it can really be fun and frustrating. But yeah, I can
definitely.
So I'm going to take second play host. We've been going for I think about a half an hour, so it's a good time. We got people joining us on big platform out there where we're hosting this thing on our big YouTube channel. And we got people joining us out there that are wondering what we're talking about and where this is all about. So we're talking about Kalash Bash, which is the first, it's a shooting event that's taken place in, what do we call it, southwestern Texas, in Navasota, Texas, April 13th and 14th. FYI, April 14th is the birthday of Mosin. So Mosin was born in 1849.
Ooh, didn't know that.
Just FYI. So
I'd like to say that we planned that.
Yeah, might as well. You can all give them you can all stick some Mosins into the ground in the homage or something. And it's also the Air Force Reserve's birthday, but it's in Texas, so I guess that matters. Anyhow, it's Southwest Texas. You're going to have a 2-day shooting event. It's a match, so people that want to bring their Kalashnikov rifles and participate in an 8-stage match can participate. Correct. During this team 2 days, there's going to be many vendors, sponsors, and industry participants that'll be setting up at live fire ranges, so you'll be able to pull triggers on guns you might be thinking about purchasing or you've seen online or you think are interesting. And then, is it a gun show? Are people going to be able to buy stuff like magazines and whatnot from the vendors?
Yes, tons of magazines and accessories. So all the vendors that come out that do sell things will not only be giving parts away, but they'll have a lot of their product for purchase at a massive discount. So I would bring some pocket cash. You're gonna get some good deals.
So that's truly amazing. So I've been to a couple of different events out there that are similar. You've got SHOT Show, and the day before SHOT Show, there's a media day where only the media and those media that are deemed worthy get to show up, and some industry shows up, and you get to pull triggers and take pictures and that kind of thing. And then there's some other industry events, again, that are invite only that happen throughout the year that offer that element. You've got the Red October, which is a little different, like we talked about earlier. It's one of the inspirations for this, where a similar situation happens, but people can attend. You don't have to be invite only to be able to attend it. So you've got that element going, but then very much like we have the Big Sandy machine gun shoot coming up here next week in Arizona, where people go out and camp and enthusiasts just go out and shoot their machine guns, and the spectators are able to show up and participate in that experience for a weekend. You've got that happening, but then it's a gun show, so people can show up and actually participate in the industry and buy stuff and find something that they like and then go home with it. Freaking awesome. So this is really neat. And of course, Kalashnikovs are better than most other guns out there. So the fact that you're bringing that history, we won the Cold War. We're recreationally shooting and playing with these firearms that they built to kill us. It's awesome. So I just wanted to take a second there and let everybody know we're talking about an event that's happening in Texas. I think it's unprecedented. Hopefully it's the first of many years that you'll be doing this. You're bringing industry together. You're bringing the gun community together in new ways, and using Instagram, stupid Facebook, shitty YouTube, places like Gun Streamer and gun channels, places that are truly 2A-centric to promote this and to get the word out. And of course, the people that show up are going to be bringing their cameras and their phones, and they're going to be able to share that with the people on their social media platforms that they use, with their people that they talk to in real life, and those people that wonder why you would own something like that. Why do you need something like that? Well, because we're able to own these machines. Well, I don't have to get into it, but yeah, so we're creating the answers to that why, right? I think it's awesome. So thanks for coming on. We've still got some time, so if you've got anything else that we've missed talking about, I'll dig through here and see if I can find some questions coming in on the front channel side and then on that other side.
Cool. I did want to bring up, we do have, I did mention Jim Fuller will be on site. So anyone who's in AKs that doesn't know who Jim Fuller is, you live under a very big rock. He will be there representing Rifle Dynamics. We do have Brandon Herrera, the AK guy. He's the guy behind the AK-50 that he's developing, and he's also releasing his own line of AKs. He will be out there. He's going to be our media guy, filming the event for us, and he'll cut together a really cool video later. And he's going to be doing a few Change My Mind segments there as well, if you're familiar with Steve Crowder.
Did I see that his Instagram just got hit?
It did, yeah. The AK guy Instagram is still up, but his primary at Real Brandon Herrera was taken down. We found out why it was. A bunch of people on 4chan are going around flagging as many gun channels as they can. For why, I don't know. So I'm fully confident he will get it back.
Okay, sorry to interrupt there. So Fuller, the AK guy, if people don't know, it's the 50 BMG AK that he's creating.
Yep, he'll be on site. One of my favorite people in the whole world, Mike Pappas of Dead Air, will be on site. Awesome guy, and Dead Air always brings some really cool full autos suppressed. They suppress everything from Spanish FR8s in 7.62 NATO to Sten guns to AKs to Glocks to weird Beretta Pocket 22 pistols that he pulls out of his camper at the last second. He's just a super cool guy, and I'm really excited to have him there personally. We're still trying to get Gary Hughes and Sandy to come out, but that's a maybe. But there's tons of people involved with a lot of these companies that you know and love from Instagram and their social media platforms that have kind of come into their own as influencers, as well as creating these companies. John at M13, he's probably going to have one of the best booths there. He kills it at Red October every year. He's got the belt-fed RPDs that you'll be able to shoot, the RPKs, the full auto crinks, he actually has the first full auto NAC 9 to be converted. That should be on site. That's going to be a really cool thing for all you guys to shoot. Really, I'd say 5 out of the 10 of the big sponsors are going to have machine guns. And if you've never shot a machine gun, you'll get to shoot your first one here. You'll get to shoot your first 12 machine guns here, most likely. So that's something for everyone to look forward to.
Oh, I guess, yeah, that we didn't even really focus on that, but these sponsors and people that are participating as far as manufacturers and in the industry, they're going to be set up, but unlike at a gun show where they're just set up with their product, they're going to be set up in front of live bays, like you said. So that means be able to go into the booth, check out the firearm, load it, and shoot it. Like you're saying, some of them are full auto.
Exactly. So picture a booth. You walk up to John at his booth. He's got a bunch of guns. Hey, can I shoot your RPD? Absolutely. Step around the table. And you and your buddy step around. You point it at the berm. You can film it, do whatever you want, and shoot your first belt-fed machine gun. Granted, a lot of the vendors are going to be short loading mags just so everyone gets a piece, but these guys want you to come shoot their guns. They want you to experience their products and some of the conversions that they do. John does a lot of conversions for some of the full auto gun shops out in Vegas, so he wants you to shoot his stuff. He's proud of the work. A lot of these vendors are. That's why they come to these kinds of things. It's not a gun show where you have all the trigger guards tethered and no touch signs. It's not like that at all. You are allowed to pick up everything you see, shoot everything you see, shoot all the full autos that you see, as long as they're cool with it. It's that kind of an event.
You mentioned, well, maybe you didn't, but one of the things you said there made me think that I've been watching this stuff for a long time. I've been a spectator to the Kalashnikov, I guess, industry, or the manufacturers and the things for years. And like you say, some of these people that would normally just be, suppliers of product because of the social media platforms have experienced, ability to share what they're doing, to show what their factories are like or their builds are like, to talk to much more level of detail about why they do maybe a thing that they do or a reason they chose something over something else. And it adds so much to the discussion and to the evolution of everything. And now events like yours take it to like a next level where, if someone's been wondering, is it worth getting into the game? I think I could build a better XYZ, but is it worth it? Events like this are creating the industry. It's how we get innovation. I'm loving it.
Definitely.
Seven Wonders is asking, you got here late, how many AKs are in current production? That's an interesting question. I don't know if that's even, it's certainly possible to figure it out, but it'd be a challenge, I think.
Yeah, I don't have enough fingers and toes. I don't know.
Back in the day, one of my first projects, I needed to do a database project for a client, and I built the database up, and I needed to do something, so I filled it with AK variants, and I started out with the obvious stuff, and as it sort of grew, it was pretty inclusive. I had all the reference books and stuff, and I had everything from them. But I'm thinking around 2007, it just changed with Krebs and in range and the people that have been building guns, for a long time and had their own models, started to incorporate those. And then with K-VAR and Sentry, good luck. And then you get all the other importers. And then now with all the different builders, it would be a challenge, but certainly something that would be interesting for someone who has the interest to start something like that. I think everyone would appreciate something like that. Now you hang out on the forums, so I haven't hung out on the forums in a long time now, probably because I built gun channels, which is kind of an alternative to, a community based thing where we can hang out. So I just don't have the time to jump on forums, but for reference and stuff, the forums were awesome. Are the forums still kicking? Are the AK forums still alive?
The files are great. I mainly go to the AK files for the marketplace. Everything else can get a little dark. Mainly, there's a few Facebook pages that are great. It's nice to put a face to a name, and it's easy to share pictures. It's easy to share knowledge, and a lot of the manufacturers, the guys that work at these shops, are very active on a lot of the Facebook pages and Instagram. Instagram's huge. It's so easy now to post up a picture of your gun on some of these secret Facebook groups so they don't get taken down. To post up a picture of your gun, something that's just killing you. You don't know how to fix it. You don't know where to find parts, and out of nowhere, Gary Hughes pops in of Mod Outfitters and tells you exactly what you need. And you got to open up the gas port, and you got to get an adjustable gas piston, and don't suppress that. The threads aren't concentric. And boom, it's like, where else can you find that kind of knowledge for the AK platform? You can reach out and touch these people thanks to some of these forums, and I'm very thankful for them. And Instagram's the same way. If you have a question, you find the company that makes whatever product you have a question about. You can post on their post or send them a personal message, and they pay people to answer you relatively quickly. It's way better than sending an email, a contact email on their website. It's much easier to use their social media platforms and some of the Facebook forums. AK files, I think it's a little bit slower now. People are slower to react. So I put a lot of faith in some of the Facebook pages and Instagram, even though they're about as gun friendly as what's her name, Cortez. It's
Well,
unfortunate.
and that's something maybe we'll have you on again, when maybe again to talk about this before it happens. We got a month just to get more people aware, but to talk about how we do a lot of 2A media, looking behind the scenes, the nuts and bolts, and maybe look at some of the ways that you've been successful at promoting it using the platforms, because these are tools and we have to think of them like tools. And as much as we can share, and we make efforts like this more successful all around the country.
Definitely.
So
We've definitely figured out some tips and tricks on how not to get banned by the algorithms about posting about gun stuff.
yeah, see, that kind of stuff is valuable, and I appreciate it. Thanks for being on the platforms, putting positive gun stuff out there and showing the recreational investment reasons, collectible reasons, and just fun reasons we like to own firearms is valid. And I believe putting stuff out there challenges the perception that the only reason somebody would want one of these things is for all the fear mongering that they would suggest. We've been
Definitely.
going for almost an hour. I know you've got a call coming up, so I appreciate you squeezing us in and joining us for a while to talk about the event. Again, we're talking about Kalash Bash, which is coming up in Navasota, Texas, Southwest Texas, Southeast Texas. That's a big mistake there. Southeast Texas on April 13th and 14th, a massive event. You can check out more about it at kybercustoms.com. I have a link right at the top there for the Kalash Bash. And we've linked to Clayco's channel over on YouTube as well. Encourage you to check it out. Lots of cool AK videos up over there. Do excellent work, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for joining. Hopefully we'll see you again. We'll talk about the show or just chat about whatever AK stuff. I used to do an AK-47 Guru podcast, and I'd like to start doing that again at some point.
Yep, I've watched quite a few of them.
Right on.
I play them while I have a little TV over my gun bench in the garage, and I just let it roll while
Right
I'm
on.
cleaning or working.
Do you know Rob Stott, the AK guide? He's got he's probably the most extensive collection of AK photographs in the world. Rob Stott is a cool dude, member of the KCA. I bought one of his books recently. I got one of his books off Amazon recently, and I need to do a review on that. I've got Vickers' book coming. I think it arrives today, so I'll be doing some reviews on those soon. But anyway, thanks again for joining in. Really appreciate it, and thanks to our patrons for giving us the time to do this. Thanks to Instagram, stupid platform, for giving us a chance to meet up, and we'll see you in Texas.
We'll see you later, guys. Thanks for having me.